Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, SMN Go. My name is Jampen. I would like to ask, as we all know, pragmatism is the strategy adopted by Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, as well as PAP as a national strategy. Of course, it worked well, but in today's context, what do you, in your view, what is the pros and cons of this pragmatism strategy? Thank you.
Well, I think before I answer that, where is the Chok reporter? So far, so good. You know, Chok reporter like Beijing Wei, they're always looking for mistakes by you. Journalism is that way, then they blow it out. Chok less than the Straits Times. You know, but that, so far, so good, isn't it? Okay. No, I'm being pragmatic over here. Now, pragmatism is not an ideology, you know, like socialism or democracy and so on. It's just a way of life. You got to have conviction of what you want to do. You got to have a vision. You got to have a certain sense of ideology. You must have it. So, if that ideology which you have doesn't work in the context of environment of real events, you got to be pragmatic. So I exercise pragmatism. I would have gone to Shell had Dr. Goh not stopped it. My life might be different, but I was pragmatic. That Shell had a pioneer certificate from a finance minister, a finance ministry. And at that time, the finance minister could put a lot of obstacles in the way of Shell. So Shell said, well, I would honor the contract if you would like to carry on. But the way he put it, you know, you knew that he actually wanted you to leave. And Shell told me, don't worry about Dr. Goh. I would honor the contract. Dr. Goh house you, I will send you to UK to study, to train further, and then you can work UK. There's nothing Dr. Goh can do to you. That will be different. That will be different, isn't it? Where I say, no, this is... So, that's pragmatism. So being pragmatic, I say, well, stay where I was. Okay?
As a national strategy, I mean, pros and cons for Singapore as a nation.
As the national strategy.
And in my view, when you put more emphasis on pragmatism, you will have less emphasis on ideology. Of course, pragmatism is not ideology, it's a strategy. Thank you.
You see, you got to have idealism. When I say pragmatism, I am not saying you should not have any ideals. You must have ideals. You must have imagination. This is what I want my life to be. This is what I want Singapore to be. Idealistic. Painted by older generation or by younger generation. Does not matter. You must have ideals. And then you have to decide whether those ideals could be implemented. You try to implement them. If they can't, then you adjust. In other words, as you daydream, as we all should do, you must daydream, but you must have your feet firmly planted on the ground. That's pragmatism. If you daydream and your feet are not on the ground, you are in the clouds all the time, you won't succeed in life. Feet on the ground. That's pragmatism. That's my definition.
Okay, the next question, feel free to ask. There's a hand up all the way at the back. Feel free to ask in Mandarin, and since we're in Chui, Teochew or Hokkien as well.
Mr. Goh, I'm from the Merdeka generation, and in 1980, I was around, I was not even 30 yet. So, but I was at a shock, you know, when Mr. Lee Kuan Yew talked for many nights, I remember, on television about how bad was Nanta and why, and he wanted it shut down. You know, he tried to tell the whole Singapore how bad was Nanta. I know Nanta, yeah, finish. Let's close it down. And I mean, what I'm trying to say now is, maybe this hindsight now. If Nanta still exists today, it will be a very valuable asset to Singapore because it's the first overseas Chinese universities. But I mean, if you are the Prime Minister at that time, in 1980, would you would you be doing the same thing? Would you think that Nanda is finished? And then another question now actually was, should we start another Chinese language university in Singapore today? I got an answer before at in another forum, and that was, it's difficult now because we do not have Chinese language students among us, and it will take time for the universities to get the students to join it. What?
Who gave you the answer?
Well, there was I attended this Zhongxiang Huiguan, the forum. So they are also talking about culture. We are losing our Chinese language.
Was the answer given by a minister?
No. He's not a minister, but he's a professor, I think. But he said it's difficult because he said we do not have the students, and it will take time. It's difficult now to do it, but should we do it?
Okay, you have two questions. First, if I were Prime Minister, would I do things differently? If I were Prime Minister, I had the personality of Lee Kuan Yew, I would do the same as he did. So, on looking back, was he right? I think that's what you meant. Huh? Was he right in closing down Nanta? By 1980, I was already in cabinet. So I knew a little of his thinking. His concern was not closing down Nanta because there was a Chinese university. That was not his concern, because that would be wrong totally. His concern was the deteriorating standard of university education in Nanta. In other words, Nanta started off very well, but by 1980 the standard had gone down, and it was a very emotional thing for him. So he was trying to bring it under NUS so that the two could be integrated and the standard could be raised. Of course, by doing that, you're actually pushing down further this Chinese university education. So that's the history. So would I do it differently? Of course, when you look back, if you see the future, you might do it differently. No, because you say, oh, China is going to rise. I better save Nanta. How? I may open it to other foreign students. Where? The Malaysians were already coming. Then you've got to pay more to get good professors to come. That's different, you see, because they were not able to pay the professors well. I could have made it into a national university funded by the state because China was going to rise. And it will be so important, is it? So, on hindsight, one could, of course, say many things to do things differently. But at that point of time, if you ask many people, Chinese educated, I do not know, you ask many others, where would China be in the year 2019? At that time, many people would say, I think they'll go nowhere. So it's very different. So the answer is, even Lee Kuan Yew, don't talk about me, Lee Kuan Yew, today with hindsight, would he have done things differently? I believe he would do things differently because of the importance of Chinese. Then you would treat it differently. You put money into the university to sort it out. But Nanta was founded as a private university at the time. Not much support from the government. Okay, so again, being pragmatic. Do you cry? I know you cry, but no, we are all practical. Say, okay, move on. And many Nanta people I knew, they say, let's move on. No point crying over episode where they felt very emotional about. When I visited Nanta, I think by then I was probably PM, it's just for a function. Oh no, sorry, I have to tell another story. Before we started NTU, Nanyang Technological University, we were trying to preserve the name Nanyang University. So that's very important, because to preserve it for the connection that NU, Nanyang University, was for them and for Singapore. So I said, but this university was going to be a technological university. So the word technology must be there. Just calling it Nanyang University would not have that attraction for the new students, which is technology. So we turned around or playing around with the name. How should we call it? The obvious name is Nanyang University of Technology. That would sound very good. Nanyang University of Technology. Until we put it in acronym NUT, so that's not very good. All the graduates are not graduates. could not do it. Then you say, okay, how about Technological University? No, yeah, Technological University of Nanyang. Put it the other way down. And Tun. Tun. No, you are very Tun, it's not so good. Hokkien, you see. Clumsy, and so on. And also, Tun, good name in our country up north. Then they'll be very angry with us because every graduate of Nanyang is a Tun. We couldn't do it. And we came up with this very difficult acronym, NTU. Even to pronounce in English is difficult. Nanyang Technological University. So it's not that we did not understand the importance of Nanyang University. We tried. Compromise with Nanyang Technological University. So when I went to Nanyang later on, one of the alumni functions, they asked me the question, would you rename it Nanyang University? I was okay with it. Drop the word technology, just call it Nanyang University. NU, Nanyang University. But the graduates of Nanyang Technological University objected. So we are graduates of NTU, not NU. So very confusing. And MOE advised against it. I actually asked MOE to consider. The faculties of Nanyang Technological University also objected, because NTU to NU, you gave it a very different coloration and interpretation. So it's not that we did not understand the emotions of Chinese education at Nanyang University. So pragmatism, that's one illustration of pragmatism, how we move forward.
Can we have a question here from
Jiao Bao, so far okay, yeah? This question is
sounds like the Jiao Bao story for tomorrow.
Jiao Bao is more interested in current stories. This is old story.
吴志珍，请问呢？现在我们的传统的行业面对许多困境跟挑战，你可以给我们一个指导跟方向，未来的我们应该要准备什么？谢谢。
Okay, I think it's better for you to interpret for the sake of those here who don't understand Chinese.
So it's like facing a lot of challenges in businesses and disruption as well. So looking for what advice you would give for SMEs going forward?
No, particularly the traditional business. Those traditional businesses like media business, right, or trading business, or textile, very traditional business.
Well, I think the advice is you've got to be able to adjust. If the demand for those things is not there, let's say you run kopitiam. If you find the younger generation prefers to go to Starbucks and pay 4-5 times the cost of it, you have to adjust, and that's a demand. Then how do you meet competition with Starbucks? You probably got to sell things in a way which younger people would like. The younger people go to Starbucks, and so it's not to drink coffee, it's to socialize. And they walk around with a cup of Starbucks, they feel very good. Starbucks coffee, I can afford it. I can afford it, full time, I can afford it. So, kopitiam, you have to change the style. Just give you an example. Repackage it, make it a bit more upper to meet the needs of the younger generations. But why do you need to do it? You can say there's a group of older generation Singaporeans who cannot afford Starbucks. I make my coffee as good, in terms of taste, even better as Starbucks, but I cater to the older market. That's one example. Other traditional, like textiles. Again, you got to be realistic. We used to have textile industries in Singapore because we were operating under a quota system. Every country, developing country, was given a quota by European Union, by the US. So because we got a quota, we made use of the quota to manufacture textiles and sell to Europe and sell to US. But we didn't have local companies. We brought in Hong Kong and Taiwanese companies to do textiles over here. Then we sold. But textiles, after a while, Vietnam and the other places were cheaper than you. And EU removed the quota system. What do? for a while, the companies moved into garments. That means you make garments, you make clothes, fashionable clothes designed by foreigners. We just made them. Then over time, we are not competitive. We are not competitive. China, Vietnam, India, Bangladesh became more competitive in making garments. So we have to let their garments go. But what do? These companies, they bring Singapore to Myanmar, Cambodia, and other places where costs are cheaper. So for your traditional business, if you find that that business is not going to be profitable, just move on, do something else, create something for yourself. You can see it's very traditional, people like it, there's no demand. Economics is a matter of supply and demand. Demand is there, there'll be people who supply. There's no demand, the supply, no point, you have to change it. But there are instances where you can create the supply, people want it. This is like your Facebook, Googles, and today's industries, economy. You create something, people want it. So the advice is create, is it? Okay. Well, your English is very good, your understanding.
Thank you. A question maybe.
Even when she was Chinese, you didn't quite interpret right, isn't it? You got to help him.
I got 90%. Give me a chance.
No, it's not easy to follow because it's different. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, the lady in the middle over here. Yeah, in white. Can we pass the mic to her, please?
Good afternoon, SM. It's glad to see you here in person. You were saying just now, going to China to do business, probably, a lot of businessmen has to think about that. Now, with the raising up of China, they call themselves as the Chinese model that contribute to the success of China being today. We would say number one or number two. And with the chaotic situations as today, what do you think Singapore will face? Yeah, and another question is, what contribute to the success of Singapore? Do we have so-called Singapore style, and will this Singapore style will continue to bring the prosperity to our nation? Thank you.
Well, I think the second question is very important. There is such a thing called Singapore style of doing business. There is. And that Singapore style is, we must be trusted by people. So when we go to China, especially our accountants and financial officers, they are trusted because that's our upbringing. And hotels, foreign hotels, for example, if you have a Singaporean financial officer, they'll be very happy, they trust you. So that style must be continued. Secondly, trust alone is not enough. You must offer something. Service, skills, knowledge, expertise. If you have all those and you have trust, you will succeed. And financial sector, for example, we, long ago, when we started our financial sector, we followed the Switzerland example. We gathered funds from all over the world and we offered secret accounts. Secret accounts, so you can put money here, no questions be asked. Nobody can ask you any questions for information regarding the account. But that model would not be possible today because the world will move towards a more transparent system because people were avoiding taxes and worse, terrorism money laundering, all kind of money coming in, not to Singapore, but to many other places that operated their system. So we changed our model. That would not be practical. We don't need it. We needed it long ago, but today, no, that's not the way to do business. The world won't allow you. So we move on to a financial center of trust. In Singapore, regulations are there. They'll be fairly implemented. So that trust, I think, is important. So trust plus expertise. Expertise, we do not have enough. Acquire expertise. Open ourselves to foreigners, foreign banks, IT, fintech. So we had all kinds of ways to get them to come over here and anchor them over here. So There is a Singapore way of doing things. Now the first question is going to be more challenging if this rivalry between US and China becomes heated up. What do we do as a country? You cannot take sides, because both sides are very important to Singapore's future. As an economy, as a friend, as a place for investments, both countries are very important. So if you are faced in that situation, then you use the Singapore model. We take side on the basis of principles. So what are our principles as Singaporeans or as Singapore? Depends on the issue. So whatever issues you debate over that, is no, this is my principle, I take this position. Sometimes you'll be closer to the Chinese position, sometimes it's closer to the US position, but we are not taking sides, we are taking sides on a set of principles. So that's very important, that people know where you're coming from. If you try just to know who is winning, I take your side, then you'll be squashed. So there are certain ways of doing things. So we just hope that the situation as we see now will improve over time, because we do need both China and US to be playing big parts in the world, and the world is big enough for both countries to play their respective roles, and better if they were to compete and cooperate. They compete where they should and they cooperate where they could. It will be a better world in that sense.
Good afternoon, Sam.
Sorry, over here, then the next one over there. Okay, thanks.
Recently, I think for last month, especially on June, Hong Kong have a big issue on those young generation and all the students strike on the for the government. So I just want to see from your SM Go your opinion on what government, Singapore government, we can learn from this incident. And second is also the EVA Airline have a very serious strike on history. So what SIA we can learn from all these incidents?
Well, I think we can learn a lot from these incidents, but since they involve Hong Kong, our good friend, and Taiwan, our good friend, I think it's better that SIA, I'll tell them to learn from the incident, I'll tell MFA to learn from the Hong Kong incident. And I will not let you learn what my answers will give you on what we think.
Over there. Yes.
Go, thank you very much for honoring us with your presence this afternoon. My name is Sylvie Ko. We heard you loud and clear about the importance of embracing the challenges and innovate in order to navigate better in the future. Just wanted to have your take and your thoughts about all that revolves around blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and the stance that Singapore and the role that Singapore would like to play in this new field. Thank you.
This is a field which will be very important in the future. Blockchain, and virtual currency, digital economy, and so on. We've got to understand it. By this stage, we do not quite know where it will lead us, especially on the banking system. Whether your Alipay and the other system will become the new currency of the future. What is the meaning of money? So all these questions are being asked now. And what is the future for banking? So it's still too early to say. We should not prevent them from innovating. At the same time, let's not be so bold as to embrace everything, because once your banking system is affected by our allowing, say, a digital bank to suddenly shut down your domestic banks, your traditional banks, and so on, we do not know the consequences. So the view that we have will be, watch this, study this, see where it's going, and of course, hopefully, you can anticipate, you can take decisions before others can take before you. Then you are ahead. So how to be ahead of the curve? That's what we are looking at. You've got to monitor this, but don't be too reckless by just moving too quickly on this. But that's the future. Maybe, I don't think everybody knows what is blockchain. You have to explain to the audience here what is blockchain. You've got to book, no, but not all our book readers over here. No, okay, they are, so you know. But it's a new technology, you got to know what it is. Some kind of a distributor technology and so on. I'm okay for questions. But
Maybe
I want to test my 3 old colleagues over here. They listen attentively. My question is a simple one. Have you read the book? What order? Okay, all 3 have read the book. Have you read the Chinese edition?
Mr.
No,
Go,
was it?
I read your book, the English one, in 1 day.
Okay, and the Chinese. Have you read the Chinese book?
I read them.
Chinese book.
I find a difficult one to read, and it's a very excellent translation.
No, that is Chinese. Very okay. Chinese book you read in 2 days.
No, Chinese book I on.
I see.
But the English one, I take 1 day to finish it. So,
But you are now reading the Chinese,
yeah, on now.
and the translation I heard is very good. Excellent. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, is the translator here? No, but I was told it's very good.
But, yeah,
You read it.
She was experienced enough, and she was with us on the Decoys memoir.
Oh, she was with
Yes.
you. And Pei, have you read it?
I think he has no choice.
I like these books, the Chinese books.
Chinese.
Yeah.
I like the Chinese, but you read the English.
English, yes. English just
This
read.
question is a bit sensitive.
When I read the English version, I need to read a long time.
Okay, but a bit sensitive.
A few,
A bit sensitive. You read the draft before I did.
No, he didn't.
Did you read the draft of the books before I read the draft? What a son. Normally I would clear my father first.
I have read the English one, but not the Chinese version.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Have you bought a copy?
I have not.
It's available.
Yeah, it's available. Yeah.
You know, you got to buy the book, otherwise people will say, I read the book but never.
Except that,
$23 only.
and I bought many books and gave to my friends.
Okay.
And,
Thank you very much, Mr.
Yeah,
Singh.
really. And I also bought a book for your friend. Reasonable because your girl, she's also girl. And she asked me to ask you one question. This picture doesn't look like you're 4-year-old.
How old would that be?
You said you're 4-year-old.
Yeah, I think so.
But she said cannot be 4-year-old.
Oh.
At least 6 or 7. Yeah.
6 or 7, so chubby. But I saw the photograph, and at the back, there was something scribbled at 4 years old. But that's the only photograph I had. And I did not have a younger one. I did not have 6, 7 years old. I did not have. At that time, where do you own cameras? This was taken in the studio, I think. Well, your mother would be slightly older than me.
88.
88, much older than. So she will know.
We have time for maybe 2 more questions. So anyone, maybe especially those at the back, if you haven't had an opportunity, just put out your hands and we'll pass the mic over to you. There's one closer to the front here. Maybe you can give to this lady, the 3rd row. Then,
I think after that, I want to get a sense of the SMEs here. So if 2 or 3 of them, not asking questions, just tell me what are they doing as SMEs. Otherwise SMEs is small and medium-sized enterprises. What are they? What do they do? What are the traditional things which are doing? I get a better sense of the people who are here today. So ask questions, then you'll tell me.
So sorry, so I won't be going into SME
No,
question,
it's okay.
but more from the perspective of a mother.
Oh.
Yeah. So maybe 2 questions, SME Cook. First, maybe to share with us snippets of incidents between you and Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. Any of those days when you guys were, colleagues, and any light-hearted incidents to share with all of us. And the next question is, as a mother whose son is actually from the same alma mater as you, he's now at a cross junction where serving army and making decision what to do next. Mr. Hing Swee Keat has previously shared with us that STEM is one area that many of the youngsters are not going after nowadays.
What is that as?
STEM.
Oh, STEM.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope to have some advice from you with regards to how we can advise our son, who's now, like I said, preparing to go for his tertiary education.
Where's your son?
Army.
Yeah.
Serving. Thank you.
Well, I think for that question, you have to look into the future. What would the world be like? Where would the demand for skills? And what can you do to fit into that world. But first, you have to pursue your own interests. What are you good in? What are you interested in? Let's say you are the type, who would like to imagine things, to go for humanities, literature, history, and so on, because you love that kind of subjects. You're good in them. And even though you find the demand will be for your blockchain, your technology, your IT, but it's not what you like. Don't go for the second one, even though the demand for that is greater. You are going to be miserable in your life. Or put it the other way. If your parents say, look, be a doctor, make a lot of money, very good profession, but it's not your real interest, don't go for that. Do what you love to do because it's going to be your whole life. I think that's number one. But if you are quite flexible, I myself, on looking back, I love the humanities part. I probably would choose in university a science-based syllabus, because those are founded on very concrete stuff. You can do science, then you be an engineer. It would not mean that I would end up as an engineer, but that kind of a grounding will be very good for somebody who can, after that, pursue your other interests. As an engineer, you can go into finance, you can pick up economics, you can pick up other humanities subjects, sociology or whatever, history. But if you miss out on that education, you want to be an engineer after that, it's not possible. You want to learn about technology, very difficult, because you haven't got the basics, what you call the basics. So go for something which will be science-based for the future, and then you can pursue your other interests. But my main point is, do what you are interested in. Otherwise, you'll be very miserable in your life. Even though you're making big money, it's not something which you're interested in, you see. So the first part, that shows you have not read my book yet. So I would say read the book. The book is interesting because it's the first part where there was a lot of interaction between me and Lee Kuan Yew. So that made it interesting. It's like both of us having a dialogue, doing things. He wanted me to do certain things, I would not want to do certain things. Any funny story for which I can recall offhand between myself and Lee Kuan Yew? Actually, the stories are not funny. He scolded me many times.
Actually, he do that to everybody.
But not openly, not publicly. Yeah, he did it to everybody. He did it to everybody. It's like whom he thought could do more things, and he was disappointed, then he will be quite open, very sincere. I said, he thought he could do certain things, but you were not living up to his expectation. Then you hammer you.
Special, publicly.
Not only me, he did it to poor Augustine Tan in Parliament House. I was there. My first term there as an MP. Oh, the way he gave Augustine Tan, very, very tough. So when I got it, I said, yeah, this is Lee Kuan Yew. First time, you would not know where to hide your face. But he did to me, I said, no, that's Lee Kuan Yew. He just felt very disappointed with certain performance, with the performance of certain ministers. He just went for you, but it's not, he did not mean it in a personal way. So that's how we interacted. That's how I could survive, because this is professional, it's not personal. He wanted you to do better. It's like Kung Fu Master. The Kung Fu Master will hammer you if you don't practice hard. Blue, black, and so on, but it's for your own good. Okay.
Okay, let me just give you a flavor of the entrepreneurs that we have. We got Jing Mei, Adonis, Ai Mei, remember? Someone that sells the cosmetic skincare brand. Yeah, Adonis. There's some.
But imported, or she concocted her own cosmetic?
No, all local.
All local.
All local. Yeah.
Local ingredient.
Local ingredient. Yeah.
So you put in some durian flavor.
No, but she has moved on to do wellness for women. Right?
Okay, please tell me.
I'm sorry. Former PM and SM, I think I am under your leadership. All right. I love you as usual, and today I'm very happy and surprised that the whole environment is very relaxed. It's not what I thought. In fact, before I came, I read your book. I love Xing Hui's book. First one is
Is it my book or his book? See, I love your book. Do you love my book or do his book?
Both of you, in fact. Okay, I put many marking in my book. In fact, I have a lot of questions to ask. But today, looking at all the questions, I go along with that. Just now, because I come from SME, you asked a question. You mentioned that you see, for Singapore to survive, of course, you're talking about integrity, trust, and all that. These are all the software, all right? Talking about hardware, I think we have done anything that is possible. For instance, if you want to carry on Singapore style, you mentioned also hire people of competence. Of course, maybe it's MMC. What about people like us? We are constrained, we are restricted by all the monetary kind of the kind of problem. What would you suggest for us to move on? What kind of skill do you think Singaporeans should have to carry on? I like one part about scolding. You mentioned about your mentor scolding you a lot, because my son is here. I want him to know sometimes scolding people take a lot of effort, but I'm sure your mentor, LKY has, our SMN, past SMN, has helped you a lot. I believe you want to share with us more. First of all, there are two questions. I'm a bit greedy. How do you encounter the kind of scolding process? Especially public. The second thing is, how should SME acquire? What kind of skill that we can continue to be ahead of, in the economic world? Thank you.
Well, when you get scolded by your martial arts mentor, Kung Fu master, just accept it. Don't talk back. Because the Kung Fu master knows more Kung Fu than you. And don't walk out, because you will not be able to benefit from the teachings of the Kung Fu master. You could have just walked out. So okay, you walked out. You will never be a Kung Fu master. So in this case, I knew what the job was. You got this, but it's not personal. You say, okay, why did you do it? What can I learn from this? Then you learn this. I could have walked out. If you think I'm not good enough, so what? I never wanted to be a prime minister anyway. That's your son. Carry on. Then you will never be the prime minister, which is okay. But people will look down on you. You were selected by your friends, your leader, and just one scolding, you will let us all down. You let Singapore down, you can't do it. Because the scolding was meant to do you good. So what do I do? How do I react? I just borrow his word. I look very wooden, just become very wooden. That's all. That's what we do. That's a purpose. So you carry on. Then advice again for SMU. Again, come back to the risk. You are in business more than I do. I can only offer general advice, but you got to look for something. You have got a good product. Then you got to ask yourself, would there be competitors? How do I improve? So when I talk about durian flavor, I'm not joking. Because now when you go outside, there are many things with durian flavor. And there's a Singaporean who produced durian flavored biscuits. And it's all durian. No, not for your cosmetics. It's all durian. It's quite expensive. One box, I think, about $40. I said, my God, I'm not going to pay that amount of money. But he gave me one to try. It's like your crispy biscuits. So he tried many times to capture that original durian flavor. And he told me this is Marshall Wang's flavor. So you can do that. So people are experimenting. I'm not sure at that price he will succeed. But he was thinking of the Chinese market, the Taiwanese market, where you can't easily export your fresh durians. And it's for homesick Singaporeans who might not mind buying, just for the durian flavor. So in your case, do some research. You may discover that durians contain special nutrients that will make your skin glow. Never isn't it? When you do research, you follow, isn't it? That's how people do it. But more importantly, it may make you so attractive. Smells like durian. But be careful, durians either attract or repel. Because in some cases, a durian flavor attracts many people. In other cases, people don't like it. So this is what I meant is experiment with all this, which I think you are doing. What is the main ingredient of your cosmetic? Aromatherapy. A mixture of your oil and so on. But you won't tell us what is the main oil you put in. Yeah, you see? So you experiment and discover that combination. People like it. But it may be a fad. After a while, you get to discover new things all the time.
We also have micro SME like Jin Chuan, who does a house of planner. He sell diaries, Kenny, all these diary books, and he has transformed his business too.
Okay. I'm interested because diary is outdated nowadays. Nowadays everything is in your notebook.
Yeah, but he has transformed his business.
Okay, please tell us how he transformed.
有位国务资政吴作栋，等一下你们要翻译一下比较好。其实这本书呢，对中小企业有一个很特别的作用，因为我们的吴作栋他是从李光耀接手过来的，然后他又交给李显龙，这个过程在所有的中小企业里面都面对的问题。很多人他要接棒的时候很痛苦，他要交棒的时候很痛苦。吴作栋他就是最痛苦的一个人，但是他把他的痛苦全部很真诚的写在这本书里面。我们看人家的自传，我们最怕人家讲假话，但是这本书里面吴作栋讲的是真话，因为他还在。所以对中小企业，你们要怎么交班，要怎么 handover 怎么交棒。怎么接棒？怎么交棒？这本书中小企业的人一定要买。你们买了之后，吴作栋的答案全部都在里面。我感谢总理前总理吴作栋，你们要翻译一下嘞。
陈哥不需要，不需要。Any more question?
Yeah, Jason. Jason.
Good afternoon, SM I have a question here about parenting. I remember when you was Prime Minister, you ever quote, child education must be taught 20 years before the child was born. You quoted that.
I don't think so. How can they say child education must be taught 20 years before the child is born?
Because the parent will learn from the very young age. When there was a child, they start learning parenting. I try to get one.
I don't remember that. I cannot be so good,
In my research, I've never come across that.
Okay.
So
let's say it's true. What's the point?
Do you think that this parent it's very important for us to how we teach our children the values, how you educate our children? Like a lot of people say that child got no problem. It's the parent that how they're being brought up to. So my question is, in your view, during your days as a Prime Minister, the parents compared to today's parents, are the parents doing a better job today? If not, what would you advise? Thank you.
To be frank, I have no basis to make a comparison. It's a very important question whether today's parents are doing a better job than yesterday's parents. But I haven't seen surveys, I haven't read any of this. So it's very dangerous to give an opinion on something where you haven't seen any statistics or any surveys. But I would say it's different in a way. Today's parents have fewer children to look after. And they could, theoretically speaking, be spending more time with the children. In our days, the parents had no time because they have so many children. And it is actually the siblings, the brothers, sisters to look after one another. You know, do, re, mi, fa, so and so and so on. The elders to pass on the clothes to the second to the third. And the main thing is the elder one would take on the responsibility of parenting. Parenting in the sense that you would also, you know, teach them values. So the elders would have got it from the parents. Today is different because children are brought up by the maids. It is a very serious question. You know, we are also busy. We just pass on to the maids, and when we feel guilty, we just buy them toys, gifts, and so on. You say bribe them, you know, but we feel guilty, so we travel a lot. You know, both parents travel quite a lot. So when they come back from work, you always buy something for them. Not quite the same. So, but I'm not making comments. I think it's different style, and I would say parents know how to compensate for the lack of time with their own children. But if I look at those born in the 1990s, still okay. I mean, they're all right. See, so they are young parents.
He's going to get married in September.
But according to Jason Tang, you must have learned parenting 20 years ago. It's not wrong. What it meant is, when he was young, the way the parents brought him up actually shaped your thinking as parents. So in that sense, you learned 20 years ago, as a child, you grew up, oh, that's how my parents brought me up, that's how they did things. That is in you, the values are in you. So when you become parents, it's not your own values, it's actually your parents' in value which you are putting across to the other side. So in that sense, I think I probably said all those things. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Okay, I think we have come to the end of today's dialogue.
So we have one more question. Can we take another question, Yes?
I'm all right.
One last one.
Thank you,
Sure.
Yes.
最后一个问题，请问吴作栋执政，关于这个，因为最近这个Bitcoin 的这个东西非常，就是虚拟这个货币的问题相当重要。那么政府又批准了要投标5间这个非银行营业者呢来经营这个东西啊。我是想到说，因为这个是新的东西，不懂会不会我们人民对这个问题的了解不懂会不会够深？因为现在很多市面上都很多这种 Bitcoin 什么，我们新加坡本身就有一个 Bitcoin 在出现了，还有最近又有这个报界又在宣传这个什么Mr. Sun 他怎么在这个 Bitcoin 这个里面赚了很多钱从他赚了2000多倍的这个他买的那个东西呢，那个 coin 增长的非常厉害，所以我是怕说，在这样的情况底下，我们新加坡人哇好惨了，那么也去买这 Bitcoin 了，所以我会不会导致以后再出现这个好像那个雷曼兄弟这种情形发生了？所以我是想说，政府在这方面会做些什么的教育人民或者。因为政府也是讲说这个是 uncontrollable、unmanageable， 现在没有条例管制啊。我想请问，现在到底有没有银行法律的或者什么公司法律的一些东西来管制这个？新这个政府就要投标这个给5间这个非银行的公司来经营这个 Bitcoin 之类虚拟银行这个Thank you.
So the question is related to the one asked earlier about blockchain and the technology. But Bitcoins, again, is something which MAS, Finance Ministry, will have to decide. Do we totally disallow, or do we say we allow 5 of them to start and monitor very carefully to understand where this will be leading us? It's not in Singapore alone. Other countries may start. If we don't start earlier, and you find that this Bitcoin is going to be, cryptocurrency is going to be the currency of the future. Google is going to start something big, and they succeed, we are behind time. So we allow 5, and I think they're monitoring it very closely. At the moment, you cannot have regulations. because we don't know how to regulate. But if you allow them to start and they are working together with the MBS, say, okay, what regulations do we require? So these are all new fields where we've got to watch carefully. So should we, on our own, jump in and buy Bitcoins? Again, it depends on each one of us. But in life, you are greedy, you'll never benefit. Say, oh, 300 times, buy. You may be lucky, you go in now, you make a lot of money, but you may not be so lucky. So each one has got to make its own judgment. But I find that in life, don't be too greedy. If you're too greedy, you may make money, but one day you're bound to suffer. Don't be too greedy, just be cautious, you see. Then you take your own risks. That's for the Bitcoin.
Okay, so thank you very much. I think it's been a great afternoon. So yes, please thank SM is going to take his leave, and he will not be signing autographs today. But if you don't mind, I will sign the autograph. I'm going to stick around. So, but again, can we please thank SM for spending the time?